Hi, this is Carl with another Relax, Focus, Succeed video. Today I want to talk about the relationship between commitment and focus. Focus has many different nuanced definitions, but I would say that in general, when we talk about focus, we're talking about putting your attention on something. Now, I'm a huge believer in the precept that time is an option, and I won't go into my long presentation on that, but let me just say, the things where you choose to spend your time represent the priorities in your life. Now, many of us will say, oh, my family's my highest priority, but that's not necessarily reflected in our day-to-day behavior. So suddenly something can happen and change your focus, change your priorities very, very quickly. On the good side, right, there's something where you suddenly are going along and find out that you've won an award or that your team has got a great sale or whatever. And suddenly you've got time to spend some time celebrating that. And sometimes the news is not so good. I will never forget the day I went to pick up my daughter from first grade at school, and I went to sign her out, and I looked over and she was standing there, and my first thought was, why are you standing here? And then my second thought is, what's on your blouse? And then my third thought is, why is there blood all over your blouse? And then I realized she was holding her hand up to her mouth, and something had literally just happened. She had bit through her tongue by hitting her chin on the monkey bars. All of a sudden, my priorities changed. I literally don't know what I was going to do that afternoon. I don't know what I had planned for the next hour. For $1 million, I could not tell you what I had planned to do that afternoon. But I'll tell you what I did. I immediately put her in the car and started driving towards the hospital, called them ahead and said, all right, what do I need to do and which building do I need to go to? And that's a perfect example of something where you're going along, you're just doing your life, and like that, your priorities change. And so it doesn't matter what else was on the schedule. For all I remember, I might have had to go on a flight that needed to be rescheduled or something. But at that moment, taking care of my daughter was the single most important thing I needed to do in that moment. And what I needed to do and what I had planned to do changed instantly. And that is a matter of priorities and commitments. Now, commitments are different from priorities, and you need to be super clear about that. When you think about it, you can make all kinds of commitments that turn out to be nothing. You've worked with people who make commitments and then don't follow through. They make commitments. They say, I'm going to serve on a committee. I'll take care of this. I'll make sure that this work gets done. I'll make sure that this thing happens. And then they just simply disappear. So commitments can be made easily. But also, there are commitments that are very serious and very long-term, and you know that you are actually going to have to do something for an extended period of time. I encourage you to think about the commitments that you make and actually treat them a little bit differently. When you make a commitment, whether it's tiny or big, write it down. Commitments allow us to decide before something happens how we will react. In other words, it helps you to prioritize things. And you can even look at these commitments and say, well, this is a high, medium, or low priority commitment. Some things are easy. Oh, you need that handout for the event? Okay, great. I can make a handout. Well, but is that high, medium, or low priority? Well, it's a short-term thing, you know. Just sort of get your arms around what kind of commitment it is, and that will help you focus your attention. Very frequently, we like to say that we have a short attention span, or that it's the fault of the current generation that we can't focus on anything. And that's all BS. The human body, the mental capacity of the human body to deal with things has not changed in 1 or 2 generations. There just isn't enough evolutionary time. We have made decisions that we will change our focus on a certain basis. We have decided that we're going to carry our phone with us at all times. We've decided that we're never unavailable. Those are decisions, and they can be changed, molded, put in their place, evaluated, reevaluated, and you can make a different decision tomorrow. So when you think about the variety of commitments that you've made, short-term, long-term, so forth, and so on, you can actually sort of catalog them for yourself. And what you're going to find is that there's a really good connection between the commitments you've made that you take seriously and the focus that you give to those things. When I say time is a choice, time is a decision that you make, every minute of every day, you get to decide how you will behave. And so the choices that you make represent the priorities in your life. And those priorities can be molded based on your long-term commitments. So when you think about, the commitments, the things that you're going to do next year and the year after and the year after, you can start to say, I'm going to build a pathway. I'm going to build a pathway from here to my next version of myself, my next version of success, the next version of my business. And as you begin to do that, your focus naturally follows. It's sort of like you're driving down the road, and if you turn to the side, well, guess what? You're gradually going to move your car over towards where you are looking, because we as human beings have this absolute tendency to go to whatever we put our attention on. One of my favorite phrases, but kind of the motto for my business and my life, is nothing happens by itself. So when you think about where you focus, where you put your attention, that is where you are going to go. And you can say over here, staying fiscally conservative or being careful or putting money away for retirement, those are really, really important to me. But if your focus is somewhere else, this never gets done. You can say that your family is important. You can say that your business is important, your religion is important, your partner is important. But if your focus is somewhere else, this piece of your life is not going to get the attention it needs. Because to the degree that focus and attention are essentially the same thing, when your focus, when your attention is somewhere else, some pieces of your life are not going to get the attention that you have said they deserve. End of year, beginning of year is always a great opportunity to stop, do some thinking, sit in a chair for half an hour a day until you figure out what's really important in your life, and then determine the pathway you're going to take to make sure that the commitments you make and the focus you have are actually consistent with one another. I love the analogy of a roadmap. Build your roadmap for where you're going to go and how you're going to achieve the things that you say are important in your life. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend, and give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments down below. I love to answer comments, and if it's something that sparks a big enough idea, I might even blog about it. For Relax, Focus, Succeed, this is Carl Palachuk wishing you the best of luck in everything you do.